Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your Easter weekend. Um, this is a really exciting opportunity that I'd like to share with everybody because of the amount of years, I would say, in the being in the wellness space, years of being like many of you here are practitioners, facilitators, coaches in businesses, learning, hustling on the side of 9 to 5s. You may well be doing it all and feeling like you're just um, in a space where you're gathered all of this information through whatever facility you've had, whether you've been learning it or whether you've been just reading it or whether you've been practicing it, and you come to a point where what do I do with all of this stuff if you're not already creating clients or creating transformational work? How many people here have their own business? If you'd just like to raise your hand or put it in the chat, that'd be really welcome. Okay, and how many of you have done so many courses that you can't list them all? Okay, cool. Hey Enrico. And how many of you feel that you actually have your own unique method? Amazing. So if we just look at that gravity for a minute of accumulated wisdom in this room and sharing of knowledge and all of the expertise that you can mention in your own mind on your certifications or on your walls, wherever you keep them, and you're not with clients fully as a business, or you're not sharing the wealth of your expertise, and you're not feeling like you're actually really honing in on your own unique path method, your own way. You're creating your experience by what you've been taught, which is all valuable. But actually what it comes down to is that from the amount of clients I have seen for many years that portray and show this to me, and they say, why is it that I'm not creating my own method? Why is it that I'm not creating my own expression through my work? Now, transformational work is one thing, and we can all learn things to create transformational results, as in say practicing of neuro-linguistic programming, for example, one that I've done. Who else has done NLP here? Just giving it as an example. And you take from pieces of that or parts of that method, but you won't actually feel aligned to most of it. Or you give up halfway through because you feel that actually this isn't really speaking to me and I don't really feel fully immersed in this experience with myself and with my client. Who feels that here? Yeah, because it's interesting, isn't it? The actual delivery of the transformation is what we're talking about here. The delivery of your way of creating space with somebody, a client, that you have this transformational result with, but yet part of you is missing from that transformation because you don't fully feel aligned with it. Or you don't fully feel like you're fully inside it. Because it's actually coming from you rather than the certification on the wall that you're experiencing, right? Does that make sense? I'm just making sure we're all on the same page. And I've found through my methods of so many failures as in not hitting the sweet spot of creating in real time, your own unique method in real time. And that's what we're talking about. I found that we never really get to the bottom of this feeling that possibly feels like it's missing. You're missing something from your experience with that person in that space. Once you've given the transformation, there's always a part of you that hasn't felt deep enough, or you've felt the anxiousness around it. There's an energy around the experience. And I've questioned this many times because I'm a recovering perfectionist. And that's just, I could give a shit about my work. I give a shit about how I'm safely holding someone in a transformational space. And it's their life that you're impacting, and the gravity of that you're holding is massive responsibility and accountability for your client. Okay? But when you have a mismatch, this is what we're talking about, you start to either start outperforming or outsourcing yourself and the experience. And you're then looking for more. And the more isn't actually out there, as we all know. It's never out there. And there is this gap that I found that I've created in a method that I have been honing for, I would probably say, the accumulation of my 30 years, and now coming into force now within my space. So I wanted to share this. I hope this goes to plan, because I don't do PowerPoints. I always create like this as I'm channeled. And I want to just share my screen with something I have put together. Let's have a look. See if we can share it. And I can still see you. Can you see this? Who can see this? Can you see the whole screen? Yeah. Sorry, can someone just speak a minute? Yeah, all good. So I'm just going to run through this, and I want you people to interrupt as well. I'm all about pattern interrupts and interrupting me. Don't feel you can't. But I want to get to the nitty gritty of the space. I'm talking about space that you're holding, and the transformational space that creates sometimes a mismatch in what you're delivering as your own unique method. Because this is where the magic sits, with your own expression, and no copycatting, no comparisonitis, no analysis paralysis. It is actually finding your own own authentic, unique way. And I found that you can find this space in a method that I've uncovered, and the results that I've actually had with my clients. And they're not one-time results, they are sustained results. So they actually stick in energetics, okay? So it's manifestation in real time, I call it. Because I don't really know how to sort of express it, because it's like who else gets this when they're trying to talk about their work and you can't quite explain what you're talking about? Who has this issue?
My biggest issue, Emma, is when people ask me, what do I do? And I just go, I can't actually answer the question, because when you have, you know, done so much training in the healing field, or whatever field you're in,
Yeah.
it's like as if they're asking such a difficult question. It's not at all, but it's
Yeah.
because we can't define ourselves or what we do then in that stage. I
Yeah.
hope you can hear me now. I've got a cold, so
No, perfect, exactly. Who else feels
mm,
like this here in the room? Because it is a massive issue that is in this space, industry space, that actually creates so much lack of purpose, because you're not fulfilling yourself, that a lot of people give up because they just can't express themselves in a way that is attracting clients or attracting your being able to earn money and create the results without giving it away as free value. Because I find a lot in the industry give away free value when you're really service led because they just want to do their work. They just want to create and fulfill the amazingness of what you hold inside you. So does that relate to anybody else who you can't really
I just find that because my work is so multidimensional,
yeah,
it's difficult for other people to comprehend
yes,
unless you kind of dumb it down.
yes,
It's so huge
yes,
and it is so powerful, but it's beyond people's comprehension because what I do is completely unique.
yes,
So that they have no comparison. So it's like, well, I don't really understand what you're doing.
yes. So it's a translation
Yeah.
exercise, isn't it, of what's actually within you as a multidimensional. So I'm going to talk spiritual here. So channeling multidimensional frequencies and expressions from your own unique way, the way you hold it, and then relating that to people that possibly can't see it or they can't feel it and they just don't know what you're talking another language, right? You're just on a completely different frequency. And that is to do with you are and owning that, actually. Because a lot of people want to dumb down or dim down or dim and dumb, whatever you want to call it. And then they lose their mojo. You lose your passion because you have to dim down because you can't relate to yourself in the end because you've lost your magic, right? Who gets this? And you then find you're in this other place of complete non-alignment with yourself. And the translation has been lost. Yeah. So we're talking about real-time manifestation. We're talking about your essence. We're talking about all these things now that you might have come up for you. And I'm trying to relate to how you might feel because I've been there, I've sat in it, and I walked away probably about 3 or 4 years ago, because I didn't really feel aligned to my work anymore. I felt, what's the point of being integral to my work? Putting it out there. I don't put things out there for the sake of it. And I stopped, actually. I stopped doing it because I needed to reset what and how I was feeling and how that was coming across in my work. So in the room here then, let me see if you can you see that screen now? Great. So the Who, and this is really to do with my feedback in the polls in the Heart Shift Facebook group, because there's all of you sat here in that group and we all have one or more of these. I've put them down as not really archetypes, they're just part of you, right? And I'm not being funny, I'm all of them. Who here, I mean, please come off speaker because I'm all for the room. Who here wants to talk about this?
I am definitely every single one of these.
Yeah. And as much healing and self-development, thank you, Enrico, all the growth we do, we have these, I call them creations of a personality of ourselves that we have learnt to be through our experiences during and in our life and through our upbringing, through our learning since we were born, and in my opinion before we were born and whilst we were in the mother's womb. From my studies that I have done on people, it happens way before we get here. And so most of us in this room are one or more or pretty much every one of these. And it's the relationship between this that becomes a pattern or a way of being that is getting in the way of your authenticity. It's getting in the way of you being your unique self in your work, in your relationships, and in the way that you actually function and live actually in your being, in yourself. And when one or more of these start playing the game, you then find that you're in this constant, I call it a bit of a circus, a circus of energy that determines one or the other until you become very, very, very intentionally conscious. And it's normally through being super focused actually on what you're actually doing. And that super focused feeling, I have created a method with, because I am super focused when I'm in a space, and I call it the quantum. Okay. So your why, as I was talking about, all of those things that accumulate through years of, since you were, maybe before you were born, in my view, and they're not surface level, which is why you have this gap between translation, between your expression and what you're actually creating, as in your coaching, your method, your artistry, because we're all creators, we're all artists in our own way. We create, that's it. We're here to create, and our artistry is what we're actually putting out to the world from our own beings, from our own authentic selves. Now, if you're not hitting your authenticity, your true essence, your spark, your before it all happened here, then you learn through your life and experience through your parents, whatever you want to call it, and it'd be nice to actually share other people's views on this. You accumulate, and you accumulate symptoms that are not surface level, which add to the depth of this missing feeling and not being visible, which is what our theme is here today, in yourself. And I remember a story I'm going to share with you. I always had this issue with my family, my mum and dad. I just always said to them, why can't you actually see me? I remember saying it as a kid. Can't you hear what I'm saying? Can you not see me? Like, why can't you just see me? And I remember saying this, and I think I must have been about 5, and saying it, like, I had tantrums when I was a kid, really bad frustration. That's one of my symptoms. And I've grown out of a lot of that frustration and tantrums, but I just used to stamp and say, why can't you just hear and see me? And it was really like I was in a complete, like we're talking with Jackie there, and a multi-dimensional space of translation was lost because of their own, what I've later learned and studied, and all the things we've done in modalities, is then what they were seeing and feeling and being was a completely different frequency to me. From the get-go, really, if I'm honest. So they are emotional weights. They are mental and physical weights. You can project that physical weight in being overweight or underweight. Actually, I have clients that are very underweight. And they are holding so much patterning or stress in their body that they just don't know how to get out of in their physical self. And you feel like you're running these programs or they're loops, and you're searching for them, but they're very blind. They're blind spotting you. And these are systemic. So they are your patterns. And they run what I call a human operating system. I'm going to be quite clinical here. It's a human operating system, and your data is running the show. Your emotional weight is running the charge. And your stories are held in the middle of it all. And the experience of your human existence. Okay? Is that clear? Who wants to shout out about, like, does anyone else have felt unseen and heard for a long time?
Story of my life.
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, kind of in the last few years, I've gone into a lot of the psychology behind it, and it brought just learning the terminology and some vocabulary around my experience helped so much to understand. So, to put it in a nutshell, I think the best way to describe my family dynamic was that I was scapegoated. So, it's being seen for the wrong things,
Yes.
mostly as well. Yeah, so this is quite an interesting topic you bring up, Emma, because this is something I'm dealing with now and overcoming. It's like I'm being called to show myself, like I'm supposed to show myself. How is anybody gonna learn anything from you? How is anybody gonna work with you if you don't show yourself? And I think a lot of beautiful people here, light workers, anyone, we all have these terrible wounds, and we can't show ourselves, which is exactly what we need to be doing. So I feel like overcoming the fear of being seen it's like shadow its own way. Like me putting up a video on social media has been shadow work in its own way. So yeah, being seen, and everybody wants to be seen. Every single person needs to be seen. It's part of our makeup. So when we didn't get that as from your parents, yeah, that can leave a terrible imprint on you for a very long time until you overcome that.
Yes.
But in a way, it kind of happened for a reason, I think. For me in particular, I feel like it definitely, the whole scenario, the whole thing was like, oh, I chose this. It's like I chose this whole story. It's all making sense to me now. But like, it's a very difficult thing to go through. It's very difficult to overcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Appreciate you, Enrico. Thank you for sharing such relatable experience for everybody else, because everyone still with people nodding here that and it's and it's freaking isolating, right? It's isolating. You don't feel you belong anywhere. You're misunderstood in so many levels. And there's this huge area that you think, well, why is it so difficult? Why is all this so difficult? But again, the positive of this is the work that you would hold, as particularly Enrico here is giving his example, is you're then able to create environments for people from your own shared lived experience to be able then to support other people that relate to the same or similar experience, right? And hence that's your unique lived experience that you share for others. And that is the part that we should never miss, because when you're in all of this, creating your own depth of experience by shadow work, your own shadow work, I'm calling out, you sometimes miss all of that, or what's all that about when it's so difficult, right? But yet that is your unique method. That is your reason and lived experience to create in the world. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else wishes to share before we move on? Yeah.
I'd just like to echo what Enrico has said, because that's possibly the best nugget of wisdom I've received, as in the shadow work, you know, it's shadow work in its own way, because I suppose that would have done a deep dive, whether it be into shamanism or Jungian psychology or whatever we've looked at. The actual getting out there, then it's possibly the most daunting part of it. So just even seeing that as shadow work, or it explains as that, I'm like, I'm up for that. That's okay. That would even encourage me further, as in just to show up, and an aspect that has to be just dealt with. So thanks for that, Enrico. It's like makes complete sense to me anyway.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
mm,
Thank you, Lorraine.
interesting.
Jackie?
Yes, thank you, both of you. Thank you, Enrico. Yes, I understand all that, and I'm sure we all do, of being in that position of not being seen, not heard. Well, for me, I was hiding, but I went down the rabbit hole of it, but nothing changed till I changed the generational ancestral, because we were all still or I was personally carrying all that burden from my past generations and ancestral, and nothing changed till that was addressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can be, as you say, it's lonely, it's hard, it's isolating, and you think you're never going to get to the bottom of it, which you never do. You're always evolving, but that's just all part of the journey.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Right. Amazing conversations, right? I find these so inspiring that we're all sharing our story, parts of our stories and our experiences, and also feeling we're not on our own, because that's the biggest part I had for and I'm a lone wolf. I walked that lonely road by choice, actually, because I didn't feel the relationship with other people was deep. It just didn't hit the sides, because I felt that translation loss between many people, that in my world there were very few people that I have that depth with, that get it, that really get it. And that is also, in essence, another part of our visibility area that we find difficult. Unless we're running in circles that are like-minded, you then hide even more, because people just don't get it. They just won't get it. They're not awake, and that's their journey to awaken to, or not, right? It's not for anyone's imposing of, but it's a lot. There's a lot of people in the world that aren't awake. I call it awake. Okay, so let's move on. So who am I? So this is all very fancy, and I'm not into fancy stuff really at all. I'm just a home girl, but I've just done so much on energetics and I really just want to hit home from all of these things that make it look really fancy to actually the core of me, which is a probably less than 5-year-old girl seeing what I call multidimensional beings everywhere. Yeah, and I thought they were very normal. In fact, I thought that was what everyone saw. And they would come every night and day. They would be at school with me. They would be in my dreams. They would be in my waking states. They would be in multidimensional, if I was daydreaming. It could be anywhere. And I just created this world, because actually what I then created was fear, because then I spoke to my parents, who then just said I was imagining everything, and I was very creative. And then I became really terrified. And my shadow work was probably, and I'm going to use the word traumatic, because it was, when I was mainly from that age and younger doing my shadow work with shadows in my room. That was my shadow work. That was my space to understand not emotionally developed, but I knew they were there, and I knew what I was seeing was true. And my whole journey started with fear being my biggest enemy because of what I saw. And I didn't just see beings in my room that were nice beings. They were beings that were multidimensional spaces that I travelled to easily by channeling in astral, you name it, whatever dimensions you want to go, we went. Because I actually really enjoyed it. It was creative, it was imaginative, like my parents said. But I learned my work in the quantum. And whether you call it trauma, which I've done a lot of trauma work on myself, and what I know to be true is we are multidimensional souls in a human experience, in a human body. And the space we hold translates in your magic, in your work, the way you want it to. And I found that the depth of my work has been the change work from my experience, from my lived experience, has been in the quantum space. And what I found is through all the years I went to, you name it, I went to counselling, I went to CBT, I went through mainstream. I rinsed and repeat mainstream therapies. And in their own place, they're for people that need it there, which is very poignant and profound. But for surface level stuff, I found that you go round it in a pattern. You go round in a loop. And you talk about it until you can't talk about stuff anymore. And you traumatize yourself again and again and again. And I thought, there's got to be a different way of doing this shit. And I wanted to find a different way of doing it. For myself, actually. Not for anyone else, for myself. And that was obviously my journey from a very young age. So that became my method. And I've learnt through value work, a lot of free value work. I've been working in case studies with people. I work in a paid capacity. I work in memberships. I know there's people on here that have been in that, and I'm one-to-one clients. But I've found that my mainstream, I have a bit of a hunch about mainstream therapies, where they keep you in a cycle of pain. And it's really the pain that we're trying to get away from. Really. The shadow. In my case, it was the fear of beings. They weren't all bad, by the way. And it was it's being the rapid breakthroughs that I was looking for. There has to be a different way out of this looping, for sure. And the thousands of pounds worth we've all spent on modalities and trainings and learning and reading is a human experience in itself in our journey, right? But the natural method that I felt was missing was your own unique method. But I found that you hit it in a space that I've created in what I'm going to be calling it, which is really exciting to share this with everybody, is I'm finding a new trademark code reset, which is in quantum space work. You can call it space work if you want. Sounds quite good. And yeah, that's what I'm about. I went to CPD as a personal victory, really, to go mainstream. I was policed as a training provider in channeling to high heaven with CPD, but actually I got it through the system because I wanted to break the system. And it is a recognised CPD training program. I take, and I know there's people in this group that have been on that. So that's in that space in the quantum, the channeling aspect, but it's a whole host of things that have accumulated with me being here now and sharing this with you. Okay, so that's a bit of blurb about me. And what really the breakthrough method is, it's a method, but I don't like to call it method. I just like to call it a reset area that is where you find your unique method in your work to help your clients get there quickly. You don't need the years of training and therapy work. You really don't. And the biggest part for me was the re-traumatization that sometimes that holds for people. If you're going to a space in transformational work, you can re-traumatize somebody if you're not in the right frequency. That's just period. That really is. And that's something I test on myself first, because I always take my own medicine. And then I've tested that on case studies with a lot of people, hundreds of people. Okay, so what it is, it's no scripts. It's nothing fancy. I just can't bear all this years of studying. Even though you have to know your foundational work, it's your own roadmap. And you get there quickly in your way, because we all have our own way of viewing the world. It doesn't take anything away from you. It just gets to a system that's quicker. And we use it through the quantum work and a bit of science. And the science is really how we think and we feel and we act and where we store it. So I'm just touching on this because I don't want to go heavily into it, but I'm just giving you that insight into this space. And it's really exciting to share it with you because I haven't shared it with anyone yet, and you're the first people. So thanks. And it's about being seen and heard, right? So this is manifestation in real time. It's exactly that. And I'm going to go on quickly and share real case studies that have created these results. Because I can say all this, but actually when it's put into manifestation in real time, and you're creating the changes, that's when you're hitting home. And this is actually a proven method. Okay? Yeah, no bullshit in my world. So, core reset, what is it? I talk a lot about charge with energy. Energy is energy. I don't put meaning to it at all. Once you start labeling it, you start then putting something to it in your head. And it's from an emotional charge. Now, the emotional charge I found with my work, with this method, could be anywhere in the quantum space. And you think, wow, that's vast. Yeah, it is. A bit like Jackie said, it's this huge area, right? It's this massive area. But until you really know where you're going in it and how you're calling it through you, so it's coming through you as your expression, you will find that you will misalign yourself. And your manifestations will be off. It doesn't mean you don't enjoy your human experience. It doesn't mean you just think, oh, well, I'm not that perfect then, because it's nothing about that. It's meaning about the alignment isn't, you're not on alignment. And that shows up in your choices, and that shows up in your energy, in your authority, in your leadership. Because actually the direction that you're focusing isn't aligned to your authenticity. That's quite deep. Stop me if anyone's got any questions. This is a lot to get your head around on this. And I'm not going massively into it, I'm just showing you it. So on the right hand side of the screen, you can see what it's made up of, all these little wiggly lines. It's the only way I thought I could do it. So you've got your belief, your emotion, the quantum space, and you've got your frequency, which is your coherence. It's that translation that we're talking about, the missing translation, or the chat. I call it a channel, like a radio channel. The coherence you're running at of your own frequency is creating your alignment. And that doesn't mean that you're, like, for example, with Jackie, because you start to maybe draw something on. For example, Jackie, you could be creating something in artwork that you think, oh, I don't know whether I like that or not, or I don't know whether I created that right, or maybe even some of your work may have felt slightly off at the beginning or not quite right. I'm just surmising, right? Until you start to find your emotional charge at an identity level, you find that things start shifting millimeters of lens focus, and your coherent state is, you're running at a completely different frequency. It's like a clear signal. Does this make sense to people? Am I relaying this? Am I lost in translation somewhere? Am I all right? Just shout if you have any questions. So I'm listing it here. This is how it works. It's 6 months. It's in identity work, but it's change work. The breakthroughs are rapid. I don't call them breakthroughs. I call them awakenings. Because really we're enforcing awakenings with people. We're holding space so they're all right in it. That's it. This fancy word stuff doesn't work with me. That's kind of where we are, and it's deep work, and you have to hold safe space for people that are going through awakenings, because I find there's a lot of surface level work being done and people are being left in this trauma state or not in a sustained space of being held. So what's poignant to my work is the speed of the breakthroughs, the speed of the awakenings, the alignment of you and your authenticity, and your sustained integration. Integration is key for me. It's the key part, because things land over and over again. And I'm going to talk about landing in a minute with somebody here that has been landed in my world. And she's going to tell you about that landing. She's kindly offered to speak for us. Okay. And this is where we have this person. So if I'm going to stop sharing a minute. Has anyone got any questions on this so far? Right, gallery. Right, I've got to do this. So, Ramona, if you'd like to come off speaker, I don't know how you do all fancy on here. Can everyone see Ramona?
Yes.
Hey, girlfriend. So, hi, Ramona. So, for everybody in the room that we've been talking about these breakthroughs or rapid speed awakenings, Ramona has been with me from my free challenge that she started in December, which was 5 mini insight trainings we did together, which I promote still with people on a wait list. And she started, and I'm going to just hand over with Ramona about her experience. She then went on to work with me in close proximity, where she was at the beginning of our sessions in the challenge, that very first session we had. Would you like to share what happened briefly from where, just describe where you were, Ramona, for people to understand?
Yes, so I knew you for a long time by just, how you check people to see how they I do. And when I saw your challenge, I thought, okay, I'll try this because I did a lot of modalities and because I wanted to work on a lot of things I didn't understand and uh, a lot of thoughts that ran my life and I didn't know if are mine or what it is. So in these 5 days, I think after the first day, you mirrored to me a situation. It was like a comparison, how I feel towards my father and how my kids potentially can see me. So my dad did a lot of investment and he failed, and we blame him a lot for losing money, for doing the right things, and was a continuous blaming towards him. And when Emma put this situation, because on modalities on me, because I thought I will bring more money to my family, and Emma put the situation in a manner that I saw my dad doing the same thing. And instead of us looking at him, at a person who was willing, powerful, we blame him a lot. So I didn't want to my kids to see me in the same way. And it was like a second when I shift everything. And since then, because I challenged myself to see if that was one off thought or stays with me. And since then, I like every week or so, I bring discussion about my dad with different people just to see how I react towards him. And nothing changed since then. I look with so much compassion. And the more compassion I talk towards him, the more appreciation I see from my kids and from everyone around me towards me. And they see the work I've done. And sometimes I think is nothing what I did in life, nothing important. And people come to say it, that they see it and the hard work. It's so rewarding. So this happened in the 5 days challenge. So that's why I decided to work with you in a depth. And yeah, actually, I just wanted to discover what method I can use and if I have any gifts and all that. But I have so much going on and so many. We run our life from everyone else's thoughts. I mean, my mom was running in the background, my dad, and nothing was mine. I mean, a lot of it. And now, I mean, now I see every person from a different perspective, and compassion, I think, is the main ingredient.
Yeah.
Because when we start to judge people, people will judge us. It's like a ripple effect, what I notice. And when you bring back yourself to the 0 point, there is where you create, there is where everything lands
Okay.
to you. And it doesn't matter what you do. Yeah.
So,
So a lot happened.
yeah, there is an awful lot we could talk about. Obviously, we're just giving a very small snippet, which I really appreciate you sharing, Ramona. So we looked at the belief patterning or ancestral. I call it energy absorption. Actually, I don't call it beliefs. I don't. I just create energy. It's energetics.
Yeah.
And we looked at the charge of energy that she was holding. That she had no capacity. She had no space work to create her own expression. She was just a copy of what you've learned, which is where we are, right? Where we go from. We go from our ancestors, we go from our generational patterning. I go further than that. I go past life stuff. I go way back in my work. If we have to hit it in the quantum, we hit it where the charge is. It doesn't matter whether you're in past life. It doesn't matter where it is. We find it at source and we move. and
Yeah.
it's like a skittle. It's like a bowling alley. It goes straight through, and it completely hits timelines out the window. Um, but this work is deep transformational, integrative
Yeah.
work, and we hold space for that in its own respect. So, um,
What I want to say about this experience, when just to talk about the importance of the program, what's running in our head. So my relationship of a man, I had it in my head for years. For years, I just imagined this tall guy with, I knew the figures, everything. So I've been looking for this guy all my life. And what I found was a different, totally the opposite guy. And I thought, why I'm so cursed? Why I can't find it? Because I had all the feelings in me. So what happened in the session? We went to a past life, and in an instant was a situation with a husband I had at the time who betrayed me for power, to take the power from me. And in the background was this guy who loved me in silence, and he did all this good stuff for me, but I never saw him. And after that, I realized, like, oh wow, I've been craving this guy because I had it in a I don't know which life, but I didn't know that. And since then, my today's relationship, because I was ready to say, okay, goodbye, because you don't fit to my vision. You're not the guy I'm looking for.
so many
So
lessons as well.
yeah. So now, with different eyes, I see him. I see all the things he done for me, and without to be loud, without to be that crazy guy I was looking. And yeah, takes just the right person to bring you to the right time and shift
Yeah,
this new. And after that, a whole situation changed. Sometimes I can't explain it exactly
I know.
what happened. I think
It needs
only if you go through this.
yeah,
Because if you would have tell me, oh, I can do this, I don't think so. I didn't even know I had this. I thought this is the true I'm looking for. I
yeah,
wasn't aware that is something from another life or something. It's only when you go there.
yeah,
It's amazing. It's amazing. I think if people will go just through these 5 days, they will have a big breakthrough, and they will want to go deeper, because now I'm not focused on what gift I have, what that. I was so worried about the modality I want to bring and that. Now, when I look back, how many things I unfold, and so many things change in everything. I'm so happy. It's like I'm not so driven than that unique modality I have to bring. Otherwise, I'm no one, or I'm not unique anymore. We all are.
yes,
Just have to find it from a peaceful space and from you point, not anyone else.
thank
Yeah,
you.
it's just great.
Appreciate
Thank you.
for helping share what's actually happened for you in words, because I know it's difficult to express that sometimes when you've had these massive shifts in your world. So I appreciate you sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, so thanks, Ramona. And really, it's just highlighting the enormity of being authentic. When we think we are, that's the bit. That's the head fuck. I thought for me, when you actually think, well, this is just me anyway. But it's not until something's coming in the way of that, or that you think, actually, this doesn't feel right, and why doesn't it feel right? And then you uncover a program or a pattern or a system that is running that actually you don't want to do those things anymore. You don't choose those things anymore. You turn up in a completely different energy because actually they're not yours to hold, and they get in the way of your own work, of your own transformational work. Because like from my point of view, when I am working, say, with Ramona on a one-to-one, all of my the state I create, which is the core reset state, I become that state when I'm in that channel with Ramona. And we shift in that frequency always. And it's when you're manifesting in real time, when it's your own vibrational frequency or your own coherent state, which you reach in my work, in my method, then everything lines up. Relational, everything. Your view, you're not holding view for your other people that have been impressionable in your life, your mothers, your fathers, your generations before you. And you're also not holding the view for your children. Because I found this, a lot of people hold that energy of their kids. You're not actually looking at your own energy, you're looking at what your children want energy. We're all in that. So actually we're off. Our whole energy is off. And we're creating in that energy. We're not creating our own energy. And then you find that your energetics that you turn up in, your authority, your own ownership, becomes what attracts your clients. Because they feel your authenticity. And you're in your lane. And you do not stand with other people's energies. It becomes a humble experience. It becomes a compassion of giving and receiving. Because actually they feel the gravity of you. Okay? I'm going to throw open the any questions here. So I want to share the fact I'm still doing on a wait list my one-to-one free trainings. It is totally transparent with one-to-one work. And I am toying with doing group one-to-one 5-day trainings as well. Because I find that things like this, sharing, being seen and heard, and giving experiences is all very valuable for our own growth. So if there's enough of us to do group 5-day one-to-one trainings, then I'm all for it. And we then go into an immersive experience altogether. So, any questions anyone has on this? No. That's all right. It's cool. Cool. Okay. So, I'm going to put it out there for my one-to-ones. I'm going to put it out there for my groups. Who would be interested in a group? 5-day immersive experience. The 5-day doesn't mean you're immersed in 5 days, like 12-hour days. It means that, like, we might do like 30-minute sessions. It really is an immersive experience to get behind what's running the show. And the core reset is going to be my method that we're going to be looking at, and how we get there in your way, with your method in that space. Because believe me, you find it very fast, and you then realise what it's all about, why you've been doing what you've been doing. Okay. So there's the experience, there's the share. How visible do you feel now from what I've shared? What's come up for you here from this session? Maybe it's just a reflection of what's being spoken about. Is there something that maybe is highlighted that you haven't thought about, like the energy that you're actually holding? Is it your own energy? Or is that an energy that's just been absorbed? That was with the biggest one of the biggest ones I felt with my clients. They're actually running an energy that's not their own energy. I know Tori does that. Don't you, Tori? Yeah, Tori's done part of my quantum recall method, and yeah, she's had profound effects as well. Okay, thank you so much. If you've got any questions, shout here, and then I will join you in the heart shift. I will then say, what you want to do, whether you want to do group or one-to-ones. It's available for you as a free challenge. And particularly looking at this method, core reset. Okay. In terms of my one-to-one space, I only have one space available to work with me for 6 months because I have enough clients. But it's also taking you through your process and what we've talked about that is available, but I only have one space. Okay, thank you so much. No questions. I appreciate all your time and energy, and I'll see you back in the Facebook group. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Emma. Thank you.
Bye for now.